The key to getting a good job these days is experience, and internships are seen as one way to get on-the-job training within a company, even if it's unpaid. But with a debate raging about the availability of internships within the UK, and with the British economy flagging, more and more graduates are choosing to get work experience abroad, and it's China that is emerging as one of the most popular destinations. There are now companies which will handle all the arrangements, including the work placements, and it's a booming business. One company alone is sending 1,000 interns to China this year. We caught up with some of them in a noisy bar in London's Leicester Square to find out why they're embarking on a trip to the other side of the world to work for free.
I'm Alice Goss. I'm in second year at the University of Arts, Central St Martin's, studying in advertising and marketing. Going to China for my third term internship, which is what every student needs to do on our course, and looking to do my dissertation next year on the Asian consumer.
I'm Hannah Clark and I'm at University of the Arts in London, in South London. I'm in my second year, just finished studying marketing and advertising, going to China now in 3 days.
My name is Daniel. I just graduated from my Masters from Imperial Business School. I did that in September. I'm a British-born Chinese, grew up in the UK. My mum and dad are from Hong Kong. They came here when they were very young. I've been only looking for jobs in London, and the job market for graduates in London is so competitive at the moment.
The fact that I've interned in China completely differentiates me between the crowd, and it sort of, you feel as if you have nailed a job.
Tell the truth, I wanted a holiday from all the job apps I was doing. I was like at home doing Milk Round, doing job apps, researching companies, doing interviews, and I just got sick of it. I needed to go on holiday. This way, I could spend a holiday doing productive stuff on my CV, like going to a Mandarin course. That would help me a lot.
I really, really, really would love to learn Mandarin and to learn even conversational, to benefit your CV and to benefit you as a marketing and advertising student. You know, at 22 years old, I think is a huge thing, and not a lot of 20-year-olds have got that on their CV.
My first name is Mia Bella. My last name is Yosimovic. I'm originally from Serbia, but was raised in San Diego, California. I am studying at Richmond University, the American International. My parents grew up in communist Yugoslavia, so I have seen, they liked it, so I can't say anything bad about it.
It'd be interesting to see that sort of thing, you know. Here in London, I hear about it, but I don't see that side of things. I'm really interested to see how that would affect a person living there.
It will obviously be a different way of living. I have heard there's no Facebook, so that will be different, and everything's restricted, and what I can and can't do, and maybe feel like I'm being watched, or I don't know. I don't follow too much politics, so I can't say too much, but it's obviously different. I don't know. I guess I'll get to experience it for myself, so.
6433965959，祝您旅途愉快。Hello passenger, welcome to Shanghai. We will provide service for you with all my heart. Wish you have a pleasant journey.
Okay, so today's topics are going to be introductions. I'm going to introduce myself, let you know who I am, and then we'll go through and we'll sort of introduce everybody else. We'll then talk about China's development, China's geography, economy.
One long-haul flight later, and still reeling from the jet lag, the interns arrive in Shanghai, a city whose skyline is a sea of cranes as new skyscrapers seemingly sprout every day. The interns attend an orientation day run by CRCC Asia, one of the companies arranging internships in China.
What we put most emphasis on is transferable skills, so communicating with international colleagues, understanding some Chinese business culture and how things work out here.
Edward Holroyd Pierce is a rather alarmingly young co-director of CRCC Asia, and he explained the sort of costs involved for the interns.
The most economical programme is £1,500, 1495, and that's in Beijing. And you'd need the flight on top of that, which would probably be about £500, and your travel insurance, which may be £50 or £60.
It's about £2,000. For how long?
That would be for a month, and then it would be up to you if you wanted to stay behind. Obviously, we have reasonable numbers of people who are actually offered permanent placements with their company or are allowed to stay behind to continue internships themselves.
And what do the companies here, what do they get out of these fresh-faced British students who probably don't speak Chinese?
A lot of companies here see it as a very low-cost way to internationalize their workforce. Perhaps they have, a large Chinese office and they've never thought about taking on an expat member of staff before because to them that's very expensive. But taking a foreign intern for 1 or 2 months means that they can get their colleagues used to working with foreigners. China is increasingly international, and I think almost every company here is looking at becoming more international.
Okay, this is Dominic Guan. He's one of our board directors. This is Sarah. Sarah is from Jiaxing. Jiaxing is very...
I'm looking around ACN Worldwide, which is located on the 10th floor of a building in central Shanghai. The company deals with real estate, catering for rich Chinese folks keen to buy properties abroad. There are leaflets scattered in the office promoting cities including Jakarta, Bangkok and Athens.
We are working on to sell the properties in Bulgaria to the Chinese investors.
So do you basically have just different people from different countries whose job it is to sell properties from their country to Chinese people?
Yeah.
We are selling international real estate to Chinese buyers overseas, and we're trying to do it on a scale that's never been achieved, specifically for residential real estate, not commercial.
The senior manager of research and publishing has himself relocated from England, Alexander Beaver.
We need interns because we're ultimately looking to expand our division, expanding the company, and we want really smart, motivated and competent people who can come in and really help our company grow, basically. So when the interns come in, they have to be prepared to work in Shanghai, they have to want to be here. They have to want to work in real estate specifically. And that's essentially it, basically.
I really came in with an open mind. I didn't know too much about the work environment. I've been lucky. Most of my office is actually Western, so about 75%, which is much more than any other intern. So I don't have any language barriers that other interns have had to deal with.
The intern we met in London, Mia Bella, originally from Serbia.
It's a relaxed environment that you get everything done and people stay till they need to, and there's not too much pressure.
In terms of where you work, how anonymous and how international does it feel? Does it feel like you're in Shanghai when you work in your place?
Not at all, actually. I mean, we only have about 2 or 3 Chinese in our office, and they all speak perfect English. We have a few Canadian Chinese, a Hawaiian Chinese, Russian, Polish, so, and I kind of understand them when they speak as well.
For us, we are just, taking her out for lunch and asking her, oh, are you okay with the job? How do you feel about job? Do you have any difficulties understanding, or, research? We always, have people helping her.
Do you think that the aspirations of it trying to improve your CV, do you think those are going to be satisfied?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I think with this job especially, I was placed perfectly because now I realize what I want to do exactly.
And where are we location-wise? What is this neighbourhood?
I'm actually not sure. I get here by taxi every day, and I don't know. I can't answer that. I really don't know.
I'm on the river now. I've got looking at the pond one side. Every skyscraper is different. You could stare at one all day. It's very, very nice for a tourist, and I compare it to the Thames loads, and wow, well, no comparison really.
Daniel's pretty taken by Shanghai, and we glide past the city at night on a river cruise and gawp at the spectacular skyline, each skyscraper speckled and lined with lights. And despite the sky being hazy with smog, he's enjoying every minute of being here.
Is this your first experience of China?
I went when I was very, very young, like 1999 or something like that. I was very young, and what I remember of it is completely different to here, because I'd never been to Shanghai. I went to Beijing. It's nice for me to come back, almost because my dad left Hong Kong to go to England, to the west, to see the opportunities, and now it's completely flipped for me. I'm going to the east to have a look at the opportunities. So
it just sounds like you think Britain is basically kind of slow and on the way out.
I think at the moment this place is coming up. I wouldn't say Britain is completely messed up at the moment. It's slowing down, but with all the austerity cuts coming in, and basically they're going to get the money back in England from somehow, for all the bailout and stuff that happened.
But do you not have a sense of loyalty that Britain was a place that educated you, where you've kind of been grown up? If if you're a talented guy, don't you want to kind of give your talent to Britain?
I do want to give my talent to Britain, but if they don't support the right environment to grow this talent, I feel like this place, they will really grow your talent. Whereas in England, your talent, if you've got talent, you can do well, but it's not as easy to rise up.
Maybe I was living in Birmingham, I don't know, but I just felt like it just wasn't exciting enough, you know? I just wanted the bright lights of the city, yeah.
Could you not have gone to Wolverhampton?
Wolverhampton, that's not a big city, is it?
Natalie Chang came to Shanghai with China Internship Solutions, who organised a placement for her with a PR consultancy. Like Daniel, her family originally made the move the other way, from Hong Kong to England.
When I was back in the UK, you read so many news stories about China being an upcoming country, especially Shanghai. You just read so much about it. I just wanted to experience it myself. It's almost like the land of opportunity, and I want to come and see what's in store.
So it's quite a big thing for somebody just to come out here on their own, you know, still young, you know, mostly spent most of your life in Britain. So what was your take when you first landed and you saw the big bright lights of Shanghai?
Oh my gosh, it was a complete culture shock. For example, crossing the road on my first day took me 30 minutes. I couldn't cross the road because the traffic was crazy here.
What kind of person do you have to be to succeed in Shanghai?
I have no idea because I haven't succeeded yet. I think you've got to be very open to a different side of life, different culture, and you have to be open to it, because if you're not, then you just find everything almost irritating. Like, for example, every morning I have to get the metro to work. And the metro is crazy when it's rush hour. You can't move. Your feet actually don't touch the ground. Once, actually, I got carried out of the station that I didn't even meant to get out on, you know, and I just got stuck. But you know, you gotta love it at the same time. You gotta take it for what it is.
In the olden days, people used to think of, say, Britain as the land of opportunity, and immigrants would come to Britain, and then obviously America's been the land of opportunity. It sounds like you're thinking China is now. Yeah,
I think especially for us young professionals, actually, because I mean, in the past, people always looked at China as almost the factory of the world. You know, this is where everything is manufactured. But I think now, especially in like big cities like Shanghai and Beijing, the professional services is actually coming up.
How do you disentangle the relationship between China as this emerging global superpower and the challenges and opportunities that brings, with the political dimension of China having a difficult human rights record, having a political system that isn't sort of straight down the line democracy? Do you just ignore all that stuff and hope that it just goes away during the 2 months that the students are there, the graduates are there, or how do you negotiate those two things?
I think you're right. Internally in all of us, there's a negotiation process, and a lot of China's record and what China gets up to isn't ideal. What I would say is that by bringing over, for example, this year, 1,000 UK graduates, CRCC Asia will be, helping to influence China. It'll be just opening it up slowly. It can't be a bad thing, at least. We're not insisting that all of our interns follow direct sort of Communist Party agendas. We're saying go to China, see what's going on there, bring an international open mind, and see what happens.
Is it not just a case of sort of hold your nose and think of the money?
Certainly that's not the way I see it.
Can you say like 我忘用 charts, like I forgot how to use?
我忘了怎么用
How to use.
How to use.
我忘了怎么用 charts.
真的吗?
Michael Benson, now studying Mandarin in Beijing, took politics at university. He's also really into computing, and his dream is to work for Facebook, which is somewhat ironic since the company is banned in China. So instead, Michael's working for the Chinese equivalent, called Renren.
I think every country has their own different ways of functioning. I think China functions very well as a unit. Everyone here works well, things get done very quickly, so I think in a lot of respects it does work.
Is that what you thought before you came? That sounds like you were reading a script there.
No, that's honestly I think it's more when you arrive you have these perceptions of what's going to happen, how things are going to be working, but then when you come here you realise that's not the case. So it's definitely something that I have thought about previously, that you come here and you realise, oh, things aren't the way they're being perceived to be. Things actually work much more smoothly, things just happen quickly, things just get done.
But in terms of things like human rights or freedom of speech, freedom of expression, if you studied politics, those must be things that you're interested in. Mm-hmm. That's a very different ball game here than in Britain.
It definitely is. Normally, it's not something that you're exposed to while you're here as a foreigner in China. It's very much dealt with in a very succinct, just quick way. It's very much something that they don't like to promote or
That sounds a bit sinister.
I don't think it's sinister. I just think for the benefit of the country, rather than having a country living in constant worry, I know people here are just very comfortable where they are. So I think if the government is able to promote that feeling, that's a good thing.
So you don't think that there isn't any part of you that feels like you kind of have to be a bit sort of ethically and morally blind to work and live here?
Since I've been here, I've not had to blur my lines of what's right or wrong. I've always felt comfortable in what I've made and what I've done here so far. So I've never had to experience that so far.
Not far from Tiananmen Square is the financial heart of Beijing, and it was inside the predictably plush offices of an investment company that I met two international students, both originally from African countries.
I'm Nyamba Mambe, and I'm from Zambia, and I'm 27.
Hi there, I'm Unati Mutiba. I'm 24 years old, and I'm from South Africa.
What do you think you can get in China that you can't get in South Africa?
I think there's a lot of opportunity in South Africa, yes, but I feel that China, things are happening. You know what I mean? You walk around China, there's cars, there's people everywhere. It's such an exciting environment. You feel like anything is possible in China.
What took you from Zambia?
I was studying in the UK, so I haven't come directly from Zambia. I was studying in the UK from university. I was at University of Aberdeen for 4 years, and then I was at University of Nottingham doing my master's for a year. And I just graduated in December. And when I graduated, there was just no jobs in the UK. I mean, I've got a work permit for 2 years, and I couldn't get a job. So I thought, well, I'll do an internship, but it's even hard to get a placement or an internship.
I think that even taking a program like this, you've got to have a level of maturity. You know, you've got to just be proactive. You know, you're coming into an environment where it's all foreign, and it's very difficult. It's emotionally draining. It's physically draining.
Coming from South Africa, do you feel like you two are the only two black people in Beijing?
I thought that would happen, but it's surprising there's a strong community of black people within Beijing. So I thought that maybe we would be the only two, because when I saw, I was so happy to see. I was like, oh my God, another black person. Because some people got annoyed by getting stared at and getting poked and prodded and hair touched, you know, but, you know, it's all in good spirit, you know, and like, for me, it's been, even, I mean, Nyemba will tell you, her hair's been, you know.
Giggling away madly there. So what's been your experience?
Oh no, I love it. I feel like a celebrity here. It's really funny. I actually miss that. I actually miss people staring and coming and say, "Can I take a picture?" I mean, you're different, but it's all in good. It's in good spirit. It's not like negative kind of, ooh, who's that? It's more like, oh, can I touch your hair? Can I take a picture? It's only annoying when you're in a rush and you're like, come on. But it's really cool. I like it.
Okay. So I've just finished a research on the construction company.
Okay, I think this past, especially the previous events, that's something we really need to look at what they have done in the past.
We met Hannah Clark in London. Now she's in Beijing researching for an events organisation. The work's fine, but with an international company, there's less of a contrast with the UK.
I thought I would actually see a bigger difference, but because this company I think is quite global, it's very relaxed. It's just like very similar to my intern, which was in London.
Do you think that, you know, what you're learning here, I suppose the plan is that it's going to kind of add to your CV, which will make you a more kind of compelling candidate.
Yeah.
What do you think you're learning here that you might not have been able to learn if you'd stayed in Britain?
The culture, but obviously that's not going to particularly help my CV. Just global experience, because all these companies that I'm aiming to work for are massive global ones, and I think it'd be good to have kind of experience in learning about an emerging market and a really strong market.
You trying to go out tonight?
Yes, definitely.
You trying to go?
You decide. You've been here for quite a while.
There's some good places. We could go somewhere like Vic's or Mix, but we can't be out too late because we're going to be up early for this foundation trip in the morning.
Alongside their work placements, the interns are also given the opportunity to explore the social side of Beijing. But although it has a dizzying array of bars, restaurants, not to mention shopping malls, the world beyond Beijing can seem rather closed. One trip out of the city is designed to show them the other side of China. The interns are about to visit a foundation which looks after the children of migrant workers. When these workers move to the big cities in China looking for a job, their children lose the entitlement to education and health, and this charity runs a school to try and help. It may be the first time the interns have come face to face with the realities of life for many Chinese.
So when you go into the classroom, the kids will already be spread out, and you can find yourself a kid and sit by them, and you're kind of their teacher for the lesson. So any questions before we go in? Okay, cool, let's go in and meet the kids.
He is happy. Very good. Say it for me, please. He is happy. Very good, very good.
So this day has been absolutely fantastic for us. It's just a chance to sort of find out what real China is all about. We see Beijing in a very cosmopolitan side of things, and so it's a good opportunity for us to see what the underprivileged side of China is more about. And we get to know the migrant children, and my one's just come back right now, and I'm sure I'll be dragged away. And it's a very humbling experience.
After 1 or sometimes 2 months, the interns return to Britain, full of memories and experiences, and wondering how useful their time in China will be in helping them find work in the UK.
Certainly anecdotally, employers say that they value work experience in general, not necessarily overseas, but certainly in general, very, very highly.
Jane Artez, Director of Research for the Higher Education Careers Services Unit.
If we take as a guide the number of agencies and organisations that are actually set up nowadays to help people find internship opportunities overseas, there's a growing number of these, and you can find them very readily by just going into Google. It would suggest to us that it's a much bigger thing than perhaps we're fully aware of, that there is clearly a big uptake, I think, nowadays in overseas placements.
Back home in London, Hannah Clark reflects both on her own experience and that of others who didn't find it quite so satisfying.
They gave me a lot of work to do, which was nice. You know, I got my teeth stuck in. I wasn't just an intern. I wasn't making tea. I was actually doing quite a lot of work. I was only there for a month, but a couple of other people were there for maybe 2 months at least. They didn't meet their supervisors, didn't get given any work to do. A lot of them were actually... You know, I'd take my laptop and see that they were on Skype all day. They were taking movies in. They literally just had not a lot to do. And they did try. I know a few of them did try to speak to their supervisors or speak to someone to try and get something out of it. But I think it was quite difficult. They were in very traditional Chinese, like law firms or finance firms. So I think they found it quite difficult to kind of communicate that they actually wanted something more to do.
I didn't really enjoy where I was working, because I don't think they were expecting, it didn't seem like they were expecting, the company didn't seem like they were expecting me. The jobs that they gave me wasn't structured. They just seemed a bit surprised and just gave me whatever they had, or just gave me something to research, or sometimes I'll just sit there for hours, do nothing. The expense was a lot. I thought it was a lot for what I'd got.
I met Niamba in the finance sector of Beijing. Now she's back and has decided to do a PhD at Lancaster University. Both she and her sister completed internships in China. Did they think it was worthwhile?
In terms of getting a job or an internship, I didn't get a job or an internship here, apply for jobs. But then I learned a lot about the culture. It was different from just going on holiday or going and seeing the way people live in terms of you going with your family or just in a tube. I could mix with the people, and I still have friends. I still talk to my boss, I still talk to my friends. I've got a Chinese friend, and when my sister went back to China, I told all my friends that she's coming and everything.
Yeah, it has been really useful because now I see things in a whole different way. Before, I always thought that, you know, I had to work in the UK or have to work in America because I did aerospace engineering. And when I went to China, I saw a whole different work culture, a whole different way of doing stuff, and I'm really glad I went there.
We met Alice Goss at the beginning of the programme in London, looking forward to an internship at Christie's. But a day trip out of Beijing meant that she had an unexpected twist to her internship.
I went out to China the beginning of May, and unfortunately, during my first week, we were hiking on the Great Wall of China, and it was very uneven terrain, and I slipped and I fell, and I subsequently broke my ankle. So was in hospital for about 5 days, had an operation and things, which was traumatic for my parents as well as for me.
So I was out of action for my first week. Anyway, got back on my crutches after a week and started at Christie's the week after. I just had the most fantastic time in Beijing. I mean, I was on one leg, but it was still wonderful. And the whole experience in itself was very, very positive.
Although it was a great experience for Alice, she does recognise that there are real issues when it comes to who can actually afford to do what she's done.
It's not cheap. And I'm very grateful that I have been able to go and experience this. And then it kind of leads to the issue of everyone in London who's interning, are they all from wealthy families who can support their children, live at home, pay their travel and give them a bit of an allowance while they're working? Are the employees then going to take on people that are all from that same area in life and have that same sort of, I hate to say it, but the middle class attitude? And it shouldn't be like that.
There is a question about who can actually afford to not only take up these opportunities, but afford to travel for interviews or to support themselves in a different country where arguably they won't have the same networks and the same support systems that they have here. Interestingly, when you look at who's actually doing it, I suspect there are quite a number of students who are perhaps already international students who maybe are using internships as a way of going back to their original country to work, perhaps. Particularly this would be appropriate where the organisation providing the internship was looking for somebody with language skills in something like Chinese, for example.
That's the case for Hong Kong Chinese Natalie Chang, who plans to stay in Shanghai for at least the next 5 years. But although Britain may be losing out as talented young professionals choose China for the opportunities and the excitement, there will always be something to be missed from home.
I miss my family, definitely, and I miss bangers and mash with real gravy. I miss Yorkshire pudding. I do miss Britain. I miss the fresh air because it's so polluted here. I mean, my lungs are dying right now. But apart from that, I think the opportunities is what keeping me here.
So as long as your lungs hold out, you're staying?
I hope so, yeah. I hope so. For the next 5 years, I hope that they keep healthy for my sake.
携带的物品和发票，欢迎您再次乘坐上海出租车。Here we are. Please pay by the number on the meter. Don't forget your receipt and belonging. Welcome to take Shanghai taxi again. Thank you and goodbye.